I might want you to sign a release so I get royalties.
Okay, Eric, go ahead.
All right, let me get screen share going here. Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. All right, so let's talk about Field Day 2021, in person and remote. Finally, I think we'll be able to have a in-person Field Day for the first time in a couple years. Well, a year actually. Last year we did a very small club meeting, but didn't do much more than a very socially distant, very small field day. This year, I think everything's pointing towards we should be able to pull it off very well. Oh, okay. So first off, we'll start with some SLAARC MI Michigan QSO Party results from about a month ago. So Mike did quite well. Let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people from the club participate. I ran maybe 2 or 3 hours out there. I don't know how long everyone else did. Mike, do you have any words on this?
I'm just glad to see that, the club was able to get on the air and, we could, get kind of use this as a practice run for field day. So those of us who were able to get out and about and were able to get some stations on the air and, had a little bit of interesting band conditions, but, it is what it is. And just glad to see a lot of us got on the air for it.
All righty. Into field day then. All right, how to participate in person. So we will be back at James Atchison Park in Lyon Township like we have been for, does anyone know how many years we've actually been there? Because I don't know.
At least 8 or 10.
Yeah.
It's more than that.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it is, but that's what I was sure of.
So field day this year is June 26th and 27th. Setup will be Friday, June 25th. Time to be determined, probably morning, like we have done in the past. I'll start off saying the field day committee, I won't say we're behind, but not everything is as well planned as I would like it at this stage. Mostly due to COVID and unsure of exactly what was going to happen. We had planned on doing it in person when we started talking, but we weren't sure 100% how it was going to look and what the rules were going to be at the time. So I think as of now, we're a lot firmer, and especially after Friday's announcement from the state where we kind of know the direction we'll be headed for field day. So we'll kick off planning into high gear now. The requirements, this is a little out of date, as you can see. I left this because I didn't have time to update it between Friday's announcement and when we had talked. The board of directors for the club and the field day committee met. That was Wednesday night to discuss the protocol South Lyon Amateur Radio Club wanted to take. There is a video recording out there. I know, Jerry, did you share that yet or not?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you did. I just wanted to make sure before I spoke and said it is out there.
Yeah,
so this was as of 5/13. What we talked about was masks will be required in a tent because it is what we consider an indoor setting, operating with more than one person. If all are okay with it, it can be decided by the operator to go maskless. I'm not sure the next one actually still applies yet. I need to read into the rules, and this is very fluid, so don't hold me to anything that is said here. As of Wednesday, it was a 100-person limit at a event. And I didn't know what the max was going to be into tents. We figured 2 to 3, you know, operator, logger, maybe one other person. We will have signage posted as what the rules are come field day, and more information will be provided.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Bob.
You said 100 people max. What in the past, typically, how many people would you expect would be there? I've never been involved in this, so I have no idea.
Some years we've had on the sign-in sheet around 60 people I've seen. That's the high I remember. But I don't ever think we've, except for when dinner was being served 3-4 years ago, that we'd actually have that many people there. You know, people would come and go throughout the day, stop in and sign. So I'm going off memory of what the visitor log is. If Gary, Mike, anyone else wants to chime in here and correct me, please do.
I don't recall it ever being 100 at any, at once.
Yeah,
And like you say, maybe the number that you're counting on those logs would be the total number.
Yeah.
But if there were 40 people or something like at one time, that would probably be about the high, I would say.
Yep. A couple other things I can think that could change that this year potentially. Obviously, Livingston's amateur radio club is not doing field day like they have not done, like it has been for the past 2 or 3 years. For Bob, I'll just say this: 3 years ago or so, Livingston Club decided that they weren't participating as a club in field day anymore because they had the Balloon Fest the same weekend as field day, and they volunteered to do communications and other activities for the Balloon Fest. So most of their membership was there and didn't want to come over to their field day site and participate. So some of them will probably be joining us this year, and there's a potential that some of the Livonia club may be joining us this year. They lost their field day site as of, John, when was that, month ago?
Yeah, something like 6-8 weeks ago, the site they had been going to for years was sold.
I talked to
And-
Mike Connie though, and he was saying that they do have another site, but they might do it a lot smaller.
Yeah, so
But he appreciates our offer, but I mean, I don't know what,
yeah,
nothing's firm, right?
we gave them an offer if they
Yep.
wanted to come join us to come join us. Not sure where that is going to go. Okay, I'm going to skip to here how to participate remotely. I'll come back to talking about in person here in a little bit. We understand not everyone feels comfortable being in large groups yet. The rules this year do allow the ARRL to add your home score to the club score like they did last year. The big change this year is for Class D stations, which are most home stations, you are now limited to 100 watts.
Too bad, Bruce.
Are you, I'll ask this question while I'm thinking of it. Are you planning still, Bruce, coming up here, or are you going to be down there in Florida?
We're planning to come up. I can't
Okay.
guarantee it like nothing else in life, but
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. So, okay. They did change that to 100 watts max. I don't know. Last year, the bands were a little mucky with a lot of Class D stations running. And I suspect some of them were high power Class D stations that were running. I don't know if this is going to help or not. But just so for everyone's aware, if you are participating from home, make sure the power's set at 100 watts. What do you need to know? One, read the rules. I just skimmed them, and that was the big takeaway I knew from it. I haven't sat down and actually read the book. Find out what class you'll be operating. Most will be a Class D station. Unless you're not operating from Michigan, your section's Michigan. I won't go through everything here. And biggest thing is the two biggest things. One is using oops. I wanted to highlight and it won't highlight. South Lyon Amateur ARC as the club name for submitting your logs. And I'll send more emails out reminding everyone who's participating remotely about this, and to have fun, make some contacts, and have some more fun. For operating at the field day site, what is the plan? Well, our hard plan's still in the works. More information will be forthcoming. I got a month and a week to figure it out. What we do have planned is a 3 to 4 alpha setup, which means we'll have 3 to 4 active transmitters on the air at any one given time. We are at a new location in the park. New is the wrong word. We are moving locations back to our old location in the park. This is for a couple reasons. One, the past couple years, the park has been lax about mowing and field maintenance on the east side of the park where we have been situated. It was they set it up to be a tractor pull area, and that never got utilized, and it's just been a growing field that they mow once a year. Most of the time I could get in touch with park maintenance and get them to mow it. 2019 was especially a wet year, and the drainage in that area is very bad. The guy who mowed it apologized to me, but he had gotten the tractor stuck at least 4 times from what he told me in there. And then we had to deal with the still very wet grass, trying to mow around it and get it to dry out. The field day committee met up there 2 weeks ago, I want to say, around the 1st of the month, and the grass was already starting to be 4 or 5 inches tall, and I can't imagine what it may look like at the end. Secondly, they did some earth moving to what would have been north of our site. There used to be a boundary road that you could drive up to the field day site to unload. They have mounds of dirt and some other stuff. I know, Jerry, you said that was temporarily, but I don't know how long that's still going to be, because as of 2 weeks ago, it hadn't changed in at least 2 weeks since we had been there. It appears that they had to do some trash maintenance underneath there and maybe add a couple more monitoring wells or something of that nature in the ground. So there's a lot of mud and dirt around that site. So we looked at going back to the west side where the disc golf course is. We've safely determined that there's enough room between the fairway of the 17th hole of the disc golf course and where we would set up, that there's ample room to set up in there. And it will be a tighter setup, but it will be a functioning setup up there. And that area will be mowed because the Kite Fest is the first weekend of June. So they'll have that nicely mowed and nicely maintained for us. Setup will be scaled back. We're going to go with 1 tower and a tri-band beam. 1 off-center fed dipole for 10 to 80 meters, like we've done in the past, using a push-up pole at the end. Cross dipole for 40 meters and Larry's 40-meter vertical.
Hey, Eric?
Yes,
Yeah, wasn't there always also a concern about noise on the east side? Did that,
we
uh,
we never have been able to find. I've been up there with a bunch of stuff looking for the noise. I've run portable once there looking for the noise, and I could never find it there. I think some of it originally came from bad laptop power supplies. When we had Steve's laptops that he got working for the club,
Okay.
those power supplies were very noisy, we found out in later.
okay, so you're not sure that the noise was remotely caused in the area, it was local to equipment we brought?
Correct. I'm
I
not
see.
100% sure it was equipment. I'm not 100% sure it was a local noise. I have never been able to figure out what it was. So we will have 2 shelters for operating positions and a 3rd shelter for eating and gathering type things. We should.
Eric, if I
Yep.
may interrupt, on the moving the location, did anybody talk to the park office about that?
I thought you had, but I can.
I gave them the map showing the, I guess you'd call it the east end location that we were originally talking about. I didn't know anything about moving to the west end.
Okay, my apologies. I will go talk to them then this week. Okay.
Okay, you might just give them an update. I gave them a copy of a map. I just did the aerial view and then drew a square on it. So maybe
Oh,
show them
okay.
the.
Yep,
the
I will go
square.
talk to them. I thought that had been, my apologies.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about that.
Okay.
I have another comment on location.
Yes, Bruce.
Previously, there was a big hump in the road going up to that other site,
On the west side or the east side?
the west side. The one that you want to change back to, the one that's up on top of the hill.
Correct.
You froze, Bruce?
Or my internet's breaking up a little bit, so yeah, the road that goes, when you go to the left and go up to that far site, our old site up on top of the hill, correct?
Yep.
There is a big hump in the road there.
Okay.
And there is a very high potential that I won't be able to get my RV over that hump.
Okay, I did notice that hump and I thought of the same thing. So you would prefer to be on the east side then?
Well, I don't think that should be a determining factor. My thought is this: if it makes more sense to go up there, go ahead and go up there. And if I can't make it, since we have this unusual situation in 2021, we don't have to be within the 1,000-foot circle.
That is true.
So I could be anywhere in that park. I have my own power, and we could use just one single. We could just use one antenna, the 40-meter vertical, and you guys could use all the rest. We could just limit it to one antenna, so we would be kind of like a remote but local operation.
Okay. Well, let me talk to the park, make sure it's all okay. And then if not, we'll be back on the west side. The east side where we have been for the past couple of years.
You may want to check. I thought I heard some rumblings that they were going to take care of that hump and take it away because it precludes any large bus or anything like that from going up there. And I know that they were aware of it, and I thought I had heard that something had been done. So you might want to check that before you
Yep.
do anything else.
I'll take a drive up there this week then and look at the hump and get into the township office and talk to them. Okay. Make some notes here. All right. All right. I think I got everything here. Okay. What to bring, what's being provided. Again, we will be providing 3 to 4 operating stations with radios and logging computers. We'll have Morty's available for CW if anyone wants to run CW. Bruce, I'll get with you offline. We can talk about your setup and everything.
Okay.
Give you a call this week or something. Like I said, previous slide, shelters for operating, either eating/gathering, antennas, tables, potentially some chairs for the operating stations, but this may be a bring your own chair event. As I don't know how many members are going to be coming out that can provide chairs. I don't think the club, I know the club doesn't have any chairs. So, you know, that's our question. And I'm not sure how many members are going to be coming out. That's what else I have to figure out. Out of the group here, can I just get an informal hand raise if you are planning on coming to field day? Potentially, Gary, Nick, Bob,
Yep.
Lewis,
Lewis.
Mike. Okay, so
Potentially.
yep. Screen just changed.
Me too.
Chris,
Yep.
hang on one second, guy. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Okay, so I had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I got about 8 here. I'll be sending out a survey this evening to the club. I have it all ready to go. Asking about that and planning for that. What do we need to bring? Food, none's going to be provided this year. Headset for a radio if you have one, not a require.
Question there.
Yes.
Is it an electret a microphone headset or a dynamic?
That will be determined. I will be sending out what radios we will be having there and going from there. I know Bruce, Bob, and myself were working on a antenna plan for setting up a field day site using some antenna modeling and talking about what radios to use after the presentation by, Mike, help me out here. Labs.
Rob Sherwood.
Yes, Rob Sherwood. Thank you, Bruce. After that presentation of what the club has for radios to use that should limit our interference at the site. A CW key, as I said, there will be Morty's there. I know I have at least 3 of them, so I think that should cover us for that, and I'll make sure they're working with the computers. Mass hand sanitizer. At this point, masks are still required for some, not required for others. And pens and paper, trying to limit contact surfaces, obviously. And again, chairs, that's up in the air. It's one of my questions on the survey. If we can borrow chairs or if not. I know some of the people. Yeah, Bob.
Is there any possibility? I mean, I'd be happy to donate to a chair fund if you want, if you know what kind of chairs you need, like with those, those cloth fold up jobs.
Yeah, not really. I've used the camping cloth chairs, but they're not the most comfortable for operating after a long time. So you really want a hard plastic or metal folding chair. Normally we end up getting enough. I have a couple that I can bring. Some other people have some that we can bring. I just got to take count here, and that's usually how it goes at this time of the year, is just take count who can help bring some stuff, and then go.
Doesn't Steve usually have 4 or 6 I think he's got, that he usually provides.
And
Yeah, I
and
gotta get with Steve.
I've brought
Obviously,
about 8 myself.
yeah.
so. But
Um,
there's a second consideration, Bob, and that's storage. You know,
Yeah, no,
when
Yeah.
the club owns stuff that has to be stored somewhere.
yeah.
No.
Eric,
yes, Chris.
I tuned in late here. I was wondering if it had been decided yet how many transmitters we're gonna operate.
Yes. We're gonna run 3 to 4A this year. I need to work with Bob and Bruce on mitigating potential interference if we do go to a 4A setup. I know, Bob, I had emailed you earlier about this and said we were planning on 3A, but with the number of potential participants, it looks like 4A may be a better solution, but we'll need to be running potentially multi-band at the same time on 40 meters. So one in CW, one in voice. Bruce and Bob, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I always try to bring everything I've got. So I've got 2 K3s and a flex radio. I may even have a K4. And whatever I got, I'll bring and make available.
Okay.
And in the CW tent, aka the Tiffin RV,
Yeah.
we can only run one radio at a time.
So my plan was, one in your RV, and then if we go 3A, it would be one in each of the shelters. So we'd have, 3 radios set up. And then if we added 4A, we'd add a second or a third shelter spaced out for it.
Mhm.
And then one, I'll scroll back up here. One would be on the beam, one would be on the off-center fed dipole, and then I think I might have one. I have to look. We might have another matching off-center fed dipole, and then one radio on the vertical or the cross dipole, or we could do something potentially different there, to make, the 4 stations work. So
Right. Well, one thing, that this kind of developed in our discussions here is that if we do run the RV at some distance, that will really cut down potential for interference. And since it's not illegal this year, you might just want to make that as part of the plan. I don't know. It's up to you.
So as far as I know the rules, and I have to read them again, the 1,000-foot circle still applies for operating under N8SL. So all the equipment, if you were to operate under N8SL, has to be within the 1,000-foot sphere or circle.
So we'd have to operate under a different call sign then?
You'd have to operate under a different call sign.
Mm-hmm.
And go from there. I can look at potentially on the west end. I don't know what it would be. I'm just doing a quick measure here.
Yeah, I've done one as well, Eric. Looks like there's a small parking lot before you go up the hill.
Well, I was thinking on the east end. If we went back there, you know how there's the baseball diamonds on the lower step down, Bruce?
Yes, I do.
You have the upper parking lot here, and then down here, there's another parking lot. Those baseball diamonds aren't being used right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a quick cursory glance at it is 510 feet between them from one of the farthest points to there. So if we're careful about it, we could probably get a 1,000-foot circle centered in the middle of that hill and get all the equipment in it and put you down a little bit there, and that might work.
He loses the altitude. That's the problem.
That's the difference between those two, Gary, is like 20 feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's at the east end is where we set up was up here. And then there's just little slope, and then down below is the other parking lot for the baseball diamonds.
I thought you were talking about the west end, us on the west end. And him.
Yes, but if I can't get that, and we can split it down at the east end again, and we could split it up, it's within 1,000 feet between them.
Okay.
So it's a possibility. I'll have to look into it.
Okay, we had talked, and you were talking about a 3A setup. With a 4A, what additional what's important is understanding who's operating on what bands and
Yep.
what antennas are active at the same time.
Yep. We would end up having 2 active 40-meter antennas, CW and voice. That would be.
And would they, one would be a off center and one would be the cross dipole, or?
That determination, I think, is what we need to model to figure out the best, or if anyone has a comment on what it should be.
Well, if you're going to use the 10 through 80s, you want them end to end if you're going to be on the same band on those 2 antennas.
Yep.
The cross dipole is kind of a conundrum, because any way you orient it, there's a possibility of interaction with the other antennas, right? Because it has potentially 360.
Yep. So, and
one thing to consider, Eric, after you took a poll of how many people were possibly going to be there, and a lot of us put our hands up, that doesn't mean we're all going to be wanting to work one of the radios necessarily. That's so don't go to 4A strictly because you think we won't have enough airtime for enough people. You need to do a survey, how many people really want to work it, and then you can decide, do we need to do 3 or 4?
Yep, understand. So I will have that survey out tonight, like I said, so we can determine that a little better. I think that's the end of what I have presented at the moment. I think a lot of the details will be in the next month. Before the next month's meeting, we should have a very close plan worked out and sent out by email to all the members. So,
Eric?
Yes, Chris.
Okay, one final comment. It's pretty sure that we won't have as many people come out as we used to have before COVID.
Yep.
My suggestion is that 3A would be the maximum that we would need. Might even consider just 2A and then a 6-meter station, which is 3 points.
Yep. Oh, thank you for reminding me. That was the other thing. We decided as a club we're not going to be doing a GOTA station this year. One of the reasons being and I won't say it's wrong or anything, but how to sanitize it between operators and use of people, and 2, in the past years, the lack of use of it. It's only really been used maybe 2 or 3 hours out of the full 24. So setting it up is a lot of work, and having it there and having someone to, work with people there is a hard thing. So we decided against that.
if you really had someone come by that you wanted to instruct them a little bit, you could put them on one of the stations.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to have the go to station there or be able to claim the go to bonus points, but we could get them on the air. So
Have you thought about, I just have to come out and ask this. Have you thought about things that you might be requesting from me?
yes, potentially we will be asking stuff for some of the members. So
Well, go ahead and ask, and I'm gonna, there may be some yeses and nos in there.
I couldn't hear the
Okay.
question. The audio is very low. What was the question?
Go ahead and ask, because there may be some yeses and nos in here.
oh, from just the whole membership.
No, from me.
I'm not sure what yet is exactly it, Gary. So I'll email you offline. We can talk about it.
Yeah, well, my K3 is in California, and it's not likely to get back here before field day.
Oh, no.
Okay. No problem. I wasn't counting on it, Gary. Yes
Okay.
and no. Livingston has always offered one of theirs, if not both of theirs, to us. And we have never taken the offer up, but I think it may still be there. So I was going to go ask Daryl as well. So
All right.
did it break?
Yeah, it broke, and it's not a serious broke, but I thought I would take the opportunity to send it back to Elecraft and let them go over it with a fine tooth comb.
That's always a good thing. So,
yeah.
And we will be having what I'll call a portable 6-meter station set up there. I have a very light 3-element beam and a 10-foot buddy pole mast that we were just going to push up for 6-meter operations. Nothing serious. With being down to the one tower, I didn't want to fight for rotor control between the tri-band and the 6-meter station. So very light setup for 6-meter, and we'll put the 2-meter talk-in radio on top of it, which will also let us hit the Spirit of 76 repeater for the section manager message. So I'll get the form from you, Gary, and have it filled out, and one of us at some point, or someone in the club can send that. At least 2 years ago in 2019, the guy ran the net all day. He kept coming on about every 30 minutes saying, if you have it, come in. So we didn't have to wait till the 10 o'clock net time frame. So hopefully he does that again this year. So if there's any other questions, yes, Bob.
Do you need a rotor for the 6-meter, did you say?
No, we have rotors, but we're only putting the single tower up this year, which will have a rotor and a tri-band beam 10 through 20 on it. We could attach the 6-meter, and we did it a few years ago on top of that beam, but it never seemed like it was pointing in the right direction to make 6 meters work, or the 20-meter station wanted it the opposite or 90-degree direction. So I have a small portable antenna setup that I've used for 6 meters in the past that you just hand rotate.
Oh, okay.
You just reach out and
Yep.
give it a turn and point at your new direction. So
Rotor by Armstrong.
You got it.
so I think that's the direction. 6 meters, I won't say is a real breadwinner in terms of contacts for us, but it's fun to mess with and attempt to do some things with it. You know,
especially if it opens up,
I've past years, sometimes it opens up, sometimes it doesn't. With FT8 being the hot new thing, it makes it work really well sometimes. So
yeah, well, we could always use a cross pole and 2 pieces of rope. too.
Yep. So. Okay. Making notes here while I think of it. Okay. That's all I have unless anyone else has questions or suggestions or thoughts.
Question.
Yes.
I'm assuming that there will be a final, this is how we're going to do it at next month's meeting prior to the field day. Is that the plan? That's what
Yep.
we usually do.
That's what you should do, and I absolutely can do that. So we'll have a plan by then, or 98%, 95% of the plan, and the last 5% comes together day of. Is that how it?
That's typical. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's good.
Okay. So.
Well, you and I ought to spend some time together figuring out this, getting an idea of what operating scenarios you want to protect for, and
Yep.
and then using that as the a major input to the antenna placement.
Yep. I'll give you a call this week, Bob, and we can talk about it, or I'll send you an email and we can talk about it if that
Okay.
works.
You might want to, obviously you're going to send a message out to everybody to see who wants to operate, but you
Yes.
should probably include the people from Howell, as well as if some of the folks from Livonia are coming, because that could skew it significantly if they're planning on having a bunch of people. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but we need to know it.
No, I absolutely agree. I will get that out and I will include them. So if it doesn't come tonight, it will be early tomorrow. So, but in the next day, I should have that out.
Super.
Why don't you stop sharing so we can see a bigger picture of everybody?
All right, I can absolutely.
There you go.
And I will include, when I send out that, I will include the this PowerPoint and make a couple changes to it really quick, and then I'll send it out.
Well,
hey, Bruce,
Yes.
are you still going to have that big map on the side of your bus?
Well, I don't know. That's Larry's deal. He set up the software and everything. It would be nice to do that. But if my bus is on the other side of the park, then there wouldn't be anybody to see it. So I don't know. I think it's all fluid right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be a little fluid.
Plus, I mean, there's the whole internet thing, the networking between the computers.
Yeah, and last time we tried that, Bruce, with having the cell service coming into the network, it caused a little bit of headache on some of the computers for timing issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm not sure we want to actually give it, it can be, you can be tied in as terms of a computer log tied in, but I don't want to tie the hard outside world into the network, as it adds a few headaches in there.
I understand. Yep.
Because one of the plans I'm building up, or I have some computers I'm building up for the logging station, the extra logging station computers. And one of the things I'm doing is going to be making digital modes all preset on it. So FT8, FL, Digi, all that, and have GPS pucks on them to get to time sync to it. So we don't have any field issues out there. So.
Okay, that just went right over my head, but it doesn't matter. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you know what you're doing. I don't have to.
What you're saying is you're going to use the GPS satellites to time sync the computers for digital modes. Is that what you meant?
Yep, that's what I meant. So, yep, it's the easiest way to, the easiest and the most robust way to make it work at a remote site. versus attempting to hotspot in. I've had that fail more on me than a GPS device, not confined
Mhm.
4 satellites.
Cool.
So
Sounds like a
Oh,
plan.
Since it's so silent, I'm going to jump in and say, Eric, you and Mike and the entire field day committee has done a great job of putting this together so far. And so thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to this. It's tough times with COVID and so forth, but I think that you've come up with a good way to do what we want to do. And so kudos.
and I look forward to being back out there and operating with everyone and the good camaraderie from it.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, go.
On that list of things to bring, everybody bring your tools. Because you'll find out when you get there, you're going to need tools.
Yep.
So everybody bring your tools.
I'm never without it.
Yeah.
No, that's not what you were talking about.
Well, yours is so small that.
Oh, no. Now we're getting
Let's
nasty.
not get into
All
that.
right, time to
we're
close
getting
this
nasty.
meeting out right now.
Okay.
We've never had.
All
need
right.
of it.
Zoe isn't listening, is she?
I haven't seen her in a few years.
I hear her on the repeater, but I don't know.
Yeah, she's driving now. You got to watch it.
Maybe I could ask one more question. How many of us here are all vaccinated? Okay, so we could actually go maskless in the tents.
Yeah. Go on, Bruce.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking that'll be kind of on-site determined and so on and so forth. And, as far as the confined space of the RV is concerned, we might want to see if we can pull that off with only vaccinated people. I don't know. I don't have any problem with people not being vaccinated, but not everybody feels that way.
But for non-vaccinated people, only the conjugating areas, or what did I say the right word? Whatever the word is, congregating areas with,
Right.
people meet.
Right.
So forth.
And it's my opinion that a vaccinated person is protected and doesn't need to be concerned, but that's only my opinion. Other people have different
Pretty much the case, yeah. So hopefully it'll go without a hitch.
Yep. Well, situational, we'll see, see how it goes and what we need to do to make things work.
Yeah.
We're amateur radio operators. We figure it out and we make it happen.
Yep. Exactly.
Absolutely. Flexibility is the key.
Yep.
And I think this is going to be fluid and flexible right up until the close to the day of, for what the rules are going to be.
It always is.
Yep.
Okay. Good meeting.